Hello there. In this video we're going to be using our guide here, setting up Formstack Forms for Creatio to connect Creatio landing pages to Formstack Forms to easily capture external data through a easily and very responsive form. We are going to be using our guide that we created as a basis for setting up the connection between the two. So let's get started. So first we're just going to hide this, and within Creatio we've pared it down to the marketing workspace just for ease of reference, since landing pages and leads, which is what we'll be covering in this video, refer to. So to proceed, we're going to go to landing pages and web forms, and we're going to create a new lead registration form. Now whenever we're doing this, we're going to title it something that's a little bit obvious. So in our case, we're going to do leads. And in order to ensure that we connect to, we are going to use our Formstack URL that we have configured within our Formstack Forms domain. And that is really all that we have right now. Now we can provide a description, we can have it create contacts, we can do all the standard features within a Creatio landing page. We can also specify a redirection URL, but since Formstack already gives us a thank you message every time a Formstack form is filled, we really don't even need that. But we could put it in here, and then after we save it, it will appear down here in the redirect URL. But for right now, we're just going to save it just as is, trying to make this as easy and seamless as possible. So if we click save, we will now have a Formstack Forms leads landing page. If we double click into that, the guide does a better job of explaining the details and the why, but whenever we're working with the form and the landing page together, we really only need these 3 lines. So I'm going to go ahead and copy that, and within our guide and within our marketplace connector listing, we've provided links to a template that you can use to configure the integration between the two. Now this might seem a little bit intimidating for anyone that's not familiar with working with code, so we strongly recommend getting a Notepad text editor like this one. This is Notepad++. This allows us to format the text inside of a document so that it's a little bit easier to read. So this isn't a requirement, but it makes things considerably easier to work with. So following the guide, we take those 3 lines of codes and we replace lines 19, 20, and 21. So if we come here, we copied from the landing page a moment ago, we'll just paste that in here just like this. And that's it for that step. No need to overcomplicate it or go anywhere beyond that. So from there, we'll go to our Formstack form. So here is the form that comes as a standard template that we have created just for leads. You can see here that it mimics the standard information that we would normally see within a new lead. And things that are required, such as name and the need, are required fields, just as they are within a default Creatio lead record. So if we wanted to take a look at what this form looks like on the front end, we click Live Form View, and this is what we can see. First name, last name, the full job title, the mobile phone, email address, so on and so forth. Now we do have additional fields listed here, such as hidden name value and hidden state value and hidden how can we help you. The idea behind that is to ensure that the data captured within the form is easily transferable and transmittable to Creatio in a very friendly manner. Some fields, such as drop downs or even the name field as an example, must be formatted from this form to arrive within Creatio seamlessly. So as an example, within Creatio we have the contact name. That is one single field, but in Formstack, if you use a name field, it splits it into 2, possibly 3 or more, depending on the settings that you've configured within Formstack. So what we want to make sure that we're doing is we format the data that we're sending from the form into Creatio ahead of time, so that it makes the process a lot easier. So we've provided those 3 fields here just on the screen, and primarily just to make the exercise of doing any connecting of a Formstack form in Creatio as easy as possible. So from here, we need to start filling out our text file that has all of our merge fields in it. So here's name value, hidden name value, job title, mobile, all these fields will correlate to a field on the Formstack form itself. Now, this might seem a little bit technical, but I'm hoping the video provides a little bit more clarity into what it is that you're trying to accomplish. So to get started, we're going to start with the very first field that we need to format, which is the first name. So if we simply right-click on it and do an inspect, this pops up the dev tools. Now you can format this however which way you want. I have mine pop up in a new window. You can configure how it pops up based off of your settings. I have mine pop up in its own window, but you can choose how to interact with the dev console by clicking this 3 little ellipses and selecting which option you prefer. By default, it's going to pop out to the right. I have mine selected to where it undocks into its own separate window. This allows me to toggle back and forth a little bit easier. So I'm going to close this again and just repeat that exercise. So right click, inspect, and what's going to happen is in the dev console, it's going to have one line that is highlighted. So you can see here, this light gray outline. If I hover my mouse over it, it shows me that it is correlating to the field that I selected. And what we need from this is the ID of this field. So if we double click the ID, we can right click and copy. Or if we really want to put ourselves through some additional unnecessary pain, we can make note of the hashtag value that's showing in the pop-up on the form itself and manually type it. I consider myself efficient, others might call it lazy, and I really don't want to do that. So I'm just going to copy this. Again, go back to here, and I'm not going to paste it here because this is the hidden name value. Where I'm going to paste it is going to be down here. The other reason why using a text editor is beneficial is if you double click on this first name value or even the full hashtag, if that value was used anywhere else within the document, it would highlight it. So very similar to if I double click on fname as our variable, you can see that it highlights it in everywhere that it is shown. So this allows me to ensure that I get all of the captured instances of the field that I need to replace. So if I go back here, I still have it saved in my clipboard, so I'm going to paste it right in there. Now it bears mentioning that there's slightly 2 different behaviors that you're going to see. Everything between lines 7 and 17. Whenever we are doing our copy-paste exercise, we're actually going to be leaving in the hashtag value, whereas anything that is below or greater than line 17, we're going to be removing the hashtag. Okay, so that's step 1, and I'll try and speed this up a little bit. So here is the second field, double click that, go back to my text editor, replace it here, and now that's done. Okay, move on to my job title. There it is here. Copy that. Come back to full job title, and again, because this is in this range of 7 to 17, we leave the hashtag and put it in right there. Continuing on, inspect the mobile phone. There's its value. Go to my text editor, paste it in there. Go to my email address, inspect, copy that, paste it in for the email, company, inspect, Control C, Control V, and as you can see, this is intended to be a pretty fluid exercise once you actually get into a rhythm of copying and pasting, but it can be a little bit tedious for the first time that you're setting it up. I strongly advise that you go very slowly initially and speed up as you get more comfortable navigating as you go along. So you can see there I even paused just to explain that because I didn't want to mess this up either. So address 1, city value is this one, so right click that, copy that, paste it in here, and state has its own value, so we'll get that. And even though it's a drop down, it will still have an ID. So we still want that. Copy it. If yours expands like mine just did, don't worry, it's not doing anything that's not supposed to. Now we're not pasting it in here because that's the hidden state value. Where we are pasting it is down here, and because it's below line 17, we're going to remove the hashtag. Okay, so moving on to the next one, zip code, inspect, copy that, and go back to zip code, paste that in there. And you can see here we're actually almost done with replacing the values. So we're just going to keep going. We've got a few more fields. We'll inspect the how can we help you, which is here. Copy that. And it doesn't go there. If we can double click, we can get some indicators on where it might be. So I can see the hidden how can we help you value is down here. So therefore, what I want is this right here without the hashtag. Okay, moving on, hidden name value, we'll inspect that one. And there it is here. And now we can actually replace this one here and see it's in 2 spots. So, and again, spot up here between 7 and 17, we're going to leave the hashtag. Outside of 7 to 17, we're going to remove it. Okay, and moving on to the last couple, hidden state value, inspect that, copy, paste here, get rid of that, get rid of this, but we're keeping the hashtag up there. And the last one is here. So here is that one, and delete, paste there, and just like that, we're done. That's literally all of the code editing that we need to do. We'll do a quick spot check just to make sure that all of our fields are correct. So here I'm just making sure that all the hashtags are there, and they are, good. And I'm just making sure that each of them are a little bit different. The address related ones are pretty easy because it's the same field number with a dash and then the actual field, or subfield is probably a better way of saying it, contained within it there. Okay, and now I'm going to go down to my other lines here. Everything looks good there. Perfect. So now what I'm going to do is go into Formstack. I'm going to find the embed code field here, and you can see that from the template we have the same code that we started with. So if we scroll down, launch the pop-up editor, we're going to Control A to select all. We're going to go here, Control A, Control C, or if you want to see a copy, it's just that simple. There's nothing really fancy about it. Control A, right click, paste. It'll show white as you just saw, but it will format as you saw there. Now the one nice thing that I really like about this pop-out editor is that if you do have any issues with your code, it will call it out. So presuming that we did everything correctly, if we click save here in the top right, we should be done. Okay, now every single change that we made, including what we just did there, it automatically saves. As you can see up here in the top left, it says changes saved. So if I go back to my form, I refresh the screen, I now have an updated live view. And if we did this correctly, if we type in a first name, the hidden name value updates. And if we type in a last name, it updates again. And we want to make sure that the drop down for state works. I live in Oklahoma, so we're going to select that, and it pushes a string value to the hidden state value. And lastly, what is the need for our products, and it pulls the text value there. So that tells me my form is working correctly and that all the variables have been defined properly, at least as far as those 3 fields are concerned. Now, since these are actually populating correctly, and if this form is ultimately going to be customer facing, I really don't want them seeing the magic that I'm doing behind the screens. So what I'll do is go into Formstack again, click on the fields, and click the hidden option for each field. And by doing that, it places and appends hidden on the actual field itself and changes its color. So by doing that, I'll do those 2, and just to reiterate that it is a live editor, I'll refresh this, and those 2 fields that I hid are now gone. And we'll do the last one. And here we go. All done. Now, last thing we want to do is test this properly. So Basil Malik, president, my mobile number, and please don't spam me, 8700, email address, software, advisors. Let's see, watching someone type is just like watching paint dry. So there's that. Mango Road, number 472, Tulsa, Oklahoma, 4133. And what I want is a need for products. Okay, before I submit that though, go to leads, do the old magician's trick of there's nothing up my sleeves. Click here, submit the form. We get our thank you message. That's one thing that we're expecting. Number 2 is going to be an email that I would expect to get from Formstack letting me know that someone filled out a form. And if I refresh this, yeah, didn't come through. So that means there was something wrong in my settings. So let's start at the beginning. Landing pages and forms. Let's find our Formstack Forms. And I think I immediately see the problem. So this is where what you type in really does matter. So why this does look like a correct URL, where I'm actually coming from is here, and notice that there's an HTTPS. So even just missing one letter in this can be the result of or mean the difference between success and failure. So I'm going to put this back in, save this, come back to Formstack, and to save myself from typing, I'm going to click back. Here's this again. Let's try one more time. Okay, and if we go to our leads, there we go. That's what we expected. So now that this has come in from Formstack, we can double click in, validate everything came through it correctly. So what we filled out, need for our products, which is correct. It came in via a landing page. It connected it to the landing page so I can do my attribution correctly. I can scroll down, take a look at the additional information here, give some more real estate. Everything that I typed in goes into standard fields. And if I wanted to actually see other fields such as address, 1, city, state, zip, I'm just going to make a quick modification to the Creatio screen. I might actually put in some magic here just to do a little bit of expediting. But let's drop in a new field group. Let's call it address information. Let's do SSA address information. Save that. Drag it here. And let's find address, city, state, and zip. Okay. Go back to section wizard. Processing, and here we go. Now, for those who are not fully familiar with Creatio, what it is doing is all the magic that allows Creatio's powerful no-code platform to work properly. So this can take a little bit of time. It just really depends on what changes are being made. If it's just adding fields to a screen that already exists, it's not that long. But if you're creating new fields or anything along those lines, it can take quite a while, especially if you're registering external sections or things of the like. Okay, so that's done. Now I can close this, go back into it, and if I scroll down, I guess this will require a refresh. Some changes do require that you do a screen refresh, some don't. In this case, it let me know very quickly that I need to do a refresh. So refresh takes a little bit of time, but it's not awful. And just like that, we've got our values on the screen, and we can see that the address information, which isn't standard on a lead, actually does come through just fine. So that's quite literally it. The code is easily modifiable, so if you wanted to go beyond the standard screens and capabilities to include custom fields, it is as simple as putting in the code from that field, which you'll find within the section editor here. You'll take the code from any field, custom or default, that comes with Creatio. You'll double click on any one of these. So let's do budget as an example. If we wanted to capture the budget, which is an existing form, we simply take the budget code, place it into our code here, and then we would do the same thing here. Budget value, whatever the budget field is from the Formstack form. And just like that, we'll be able to bring in custom fields as well. So that is it for this walkthrough. I hope it was very beneficial and gave you some good insights. There's really not much else that you need to pay attention to as far as the code is concerned. We're trying to make this as simple as possible, as user-friendly as possible. Yes, there's some code involved, but we hope it wasn't too bad. If you have any questions or need some additional guidance on how to use Formstack in conjunction with Creatio, or how to seamlessly connect it in other manners or other uses, please reach out to us at formstack@ss-adv.com. Thank you very much. Good luck.